Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. This video I'll be showing you part 6 of the Natural History CAL. Natural History has been designed by Christina from A Spoonful of Yarn and is the Scheepjes CAL2020. In part 6, which is the final part of the project, we'll be making these lovely shells on our blanket and we'll be adding a border. Now again, many details happening. I'll be showing you every step of the way. For this part you need both your hook sizes, so hook size A and B. So for me it's a 2.5, a 3.5 and a 4mm hook. And of course you'll be using the last yarns from your kit. I have a stonewash kit, but you could also have a color crafter kit. So I'll take you step by step through all these rows that make up part 6 of the blanket. Thank you for watching and let's get started. Round 85, color 1 on my hook, and this round is a nice and relaxed round. In any corner space, work a corner. That's going to be 2 half trebles, so 2 half trebles, chain 2 and 2 half trebles, 1 and 2. So that's your corner. 2 half trebles, chain 2, 2 half trebles, and then work a half treble on every stitch, also in the first stitch here, and go all the way around, and that's it. Work a half treble on every stitch. So this is a nice relaxed round before we start getting into the more detailed pattern round. So with color 1, a half treble on every stitch, also that first little hidden stitch in the corner, 2 half treble, chain 2, 2 half trebles. When you're all the way around, close on your first stitch with an invisible join or needle join, however you prefer to call it. So close on here with a needle join, and then I'll see you for the next round. Round 86, I have color 3 on my hook, right side facing. The reason why I'm saying right side facing is we're going to be swapping our work from now on for a few rounds. So at this moment still the right side facing. And with color 3, start in any corner with a standing treble. So treble, and then working the rest of the corner. So another treble, chain 2 and 2 more trebles. So this is your corner, 2 trebles, chain 2 and 2 trebles in the same corner space. I'm going to do that on each corner. Then the straight edge, I'm going to skip the first stitch and then work on the second stitch to the corner, a back post treble. So that's yarn over. So we're going to skip this stitch. So this one we're going to skip. That means we're going to come to the second stitch. It's going to be this stitch here and work a back post treble. This one. You see how I've skipped the first stitch and worked around the second. And now work a back post treble around all the other stitches as well until you get to the corner. And in their next corner you'll again work 2 trebles, chain 2 and 2 trebles. So important here, skip the first stitch and then work a back post treble on every stitch. Your corner, 2 treble, chain 2, 2 trebles. When you get back to the beginning, close with a slip stitch and leave your yarn attached. When you're all the way around, you're currently in that first stitch with a slip stitch. Then move with a slip stitch to the next space and to the chain 2 corner space. At this point, turn your work really the other way so that you have the wrong side facing, and then we can continue with the next round. Round 87, have the wrong side facing, and we're going to start in the corner because we're currently in the chain 2 corner space. We're going to start with a chain 2. This counts as your first half treble. Then 2 more half, then another half treble in the same space, chain 2 and again 2 half trebles. So your corner is 2 half trebles, chain 2, 2 half trebles. There we go. We're now going to skip the first stitch, and if you pull everything to the side, this is the first stitch of that stitch there. I'm going to skip that, and there's actually a slip stitch already in there. I'm going to skip that stitch and then come to the second stitch, and that'll be your standing stitch from the previous round. That's going to be our first stitch, and we're going to work a half treble in there. So skipping this stitch, come to the next, and like I said, that's your standing stitch, and you've got a half treble already, or a slip stitch already in that treble. So this is just a little bit, yeah, this is just a slightly more tricky stitch to get in properly. There you go. See, here's the knot from the slip stitch, so you really want to get in front of that knot. So then this is the first stitch. So you've skipped the very first one, and then the second stitch is the first stitch we work. So that's 1. Going to work 12. So that was 1. And now it's a bit easier because your next stitches are just your next stitches. So that's 2. There's 3. 4. Continue until you have 12. 5. 12. So these are 12 half trebles. We're now going to start the repeat that we're going to do 7 times. So it's going to be a chain 2, 1, 2, so chain 2, skipping 1 stitch, and then in the next stitch work the first of 25 half trebles. So I'm going to skip this stitch, then come to the next. And this is 1, 2, and continue until you have 25 half trebles. So this slip repeat is a bit longer. The previous one was only 16 stitches. Now you have 25. 25. There you go. That's 25 half trebles. So here's the chain 2, skipping a stitch, and then 25 half trebles. All of this going to repeat 7 times. So I've just done once. Now I'm going to make a jump in the video. So repeat this 6 more times, and then when you're at this point here, you'll have this last set of 25 half trebles. I'll see you back for the last stitches of the round. When you've done the repeat 7 times here, this is the last time 25 stitches. You should have 13 stitches left. And this here is the last stitch. It looks a bit weird because it's from the other side, but that's the last stitch. So 13 stitches left. Then chain 2, 1, 2, skipping the next stitch. So it's going to be this stitch, then the stitch after, work a half treble. And this is the first again of 12. So this is symmetrical 12 stitches. I had that at the beginning of the row as well. That's 3. 4, 5. This is 11, and the last one here is in this stitch here. It looks weird because it's exactly in front of the chain space. But this is number 12. So 12 half trebles. And in the chain space, you work a new corner. So it's going to be 2 half trebles. So that's 1. 2 half trebles, chain 2, and 2 half trebles again. That's 1 and 2. There you go. And now you're at the same point we were when we started. So you're going to skip the next stitch. It's going to be this stitch. You're going to repeat everything. So that's the stitch you're going to skip. Then come to the second stitch. And then this is the first half treble of 12 again. So repeat, go on your next 3 edges, close on your first stitch, that'll be the chain 2, close on that stitch with a slip stitch and fasten off. Round 88. I have color 1 on my hook, and we're going to start in the corner, and if you check the corner, you see here's the chain 2 space. We're going to work a back post stitch around the first stitch after the corner. So here's the corner. I'm going to do it from the other side. You see, here's the first stitch, the first post. So around that stitch, I'm going to work a back post double crochet, and that's of course the top of the stitch here. Remember, because you're now on the you've turned your work, the top of the stitches are on the other side. And so around this stitch here, this very first stitch, we're going to start with a back post double crochet. So from the other side, come in, so you're coming in through the chain 2 space, then come around just on the other side of the first post, so of the first stitch of the post. So you're going to poke your hook between the first and the second stitch. Then grab the yarn from the back and complete the back post double crochet. And just there, if I'm just rolling it forward, there you see the stitch. Then the edge, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're now going to skip 4 stitches, but what's important here, this stitch, this first stitch that you see here, this one here that I'm now inserting my hook in, this is actually part of the stitch this is the stitch that you just work the back post around, so that loop doesn't count because it's already worked. So then you count, so this is like 0. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, so these 4 stitches skip. Then come to stitch number 5, so that's this stitch here, and they're going to work a stitch in the back loop. So I just want you to really see what we're skipping. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 skip, and then that first stitch there, that one's already worked. That one contains the back post. So that's the back post stitch, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 skip. And then where my hook is in right now, I'm going to work a back loop double crochet, so only in the back loop. So I'm just going to take my hook out, and then just in the back loop work a double crochet. And remember again, just like we've done previously, roll your work forward, then you can really see the top of the stitches, because what you're seeing here in front is the 3rd loop of the half treble. So roll your stitches forward. So I do this again, chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, skipping 4 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 skip, and then in stitch number 5 in the back loop. So see I'm skipping 4 stitches, work a double crochet. Chain 3, 2, 3, and you should have 3 stitches left before you're to the chain space. Now you see here 1, 2, 3, and again this 3rd stitch kind of goes over into the chain space, but that's actually the 3rd stitch. So you see there 1, 2, 3. You're going to skip those stitches, and now we're going to start a small repeat that we'll do. We're going to repeat the same idea until the other side. Here in this stitch here, the stitch that you've skipped, going to work 3 trebles in this stitch. So in this stitch, and make sure you're in front of your work. Work 3 trebles. So this is 1, 2, and 3. We're going to skip the chain space here to the back, so we're going to skip that chain space, and now we're going to start a small repeat. So this will work over the next 25 stitches. So chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're skipping 4 stitches, so 4 stitches to the back, and then of course the chain space you've already skipped, and this is the first stitch that you're skipping. Why? Because you see here's the post of the stitch, and remember, and because you have your stitches the other way around, because you have them from the back, this here is the first stitch that you're skipping. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 skip, and then this here is stitch number 5, where we're going to work a back loop double crochet in. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 skip. So I'm just going to remove my hook, and in the back loop of that stitch work a double crochet. Again, we do this 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skipping 4 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, 4, then in number 5 work a back loop double crochet. So that was 2 times. Just need to move the blanket a bit. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then skip 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, and then the back loop of stitch number 5, again a double crochet, and one more time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, back loop, double crochet, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now you should have 5 stitches left, and here at the next space, you see there, going to work 3 trebles in this. You should have 5 stitches left. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's correct. So you've got 5 stitches left. And you're going to skip all 5 of those, and then here in this skipped in this stitch, going to work again the 3 trebles. So I'm just going to yarn over. So in here, 3 trebles. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And these 3 trebles are the same as these 3 trebles here. So this bit, repeat this I believe 6 more times. So you see these trebles, so these loops here, and this stitch here. So this is the same. So repeat this 6 more times, and then I'll just see you on the last bit of this edge before the corner. I'm almost to the corner here. I've worked the 3 trebles in the skipped stitch from round 86. So I'm going to work these last 2 stitches and go around the corner. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and that's important because this chain 3 is, we've all had a lot of chain 5, so this is a chain 3. Take note of that one. And now we're going to skip. We're skipping the chain space here to the back, but we're also going to skip 1, 2, 3 stitches, and then in stitch number 4, where my hook is in the back loop, we'll work a double crochet. So here in the back loop, double crochet. Then 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going to skip 4 stitches again, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in stitch number 5 in the back loop, see there, work a double crochet. Then again chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going to skip 4 stitches, and that should bring us to the last stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, and I have 1 stitch left. That's that stitch there. This is the last stitch before the corner. But we're not going to work in the top of that stitch. We're going to work around the stitch from the back and work a back post double crochet. So that means set your hook. I'm just going to pull this apart so you can really see where I'm inserting my hook between the last 2 stitches, then through the chain 2 space basically. Bring it back and complete the double crochet. So you can see there's the stitch. Chain 2, 1, 2, and now come to the other side of the corner and work again a back post double around the very first stitch, and this is the same stitch as the one we started with. So you can see there, oh, not like that, there, I hope you can see this stitch there. So you've got in the first stitch and the last stitch, so either side of the corner, you have a back post double crochet and a chain 2 in between. And this is the beginning of the next edge. So go all the way around. So now you're going to repeat everything, and when you get to the first stitch, you're going to close and then leave your yarn attached. I'll show you in a moment exactly what I mean by that. When you've gone all the way around, I've worked here the last back post double crochet, so still a chain 2, and then I'm going to close on the first stitch here, so that's standing back post stitch. I just need to get into the stitch properly. There we go. And at this point, either pull up a loop, or what I prefer to do is just insert a stitch marker into this loop so that nothing happens to it, because we're going to, next round we'll do a different color, and then we'll pick up this loop at a later point and continue on. So leave it attached. Turn your work again so you have the back side facing for the next round, and we'll use a new color. Round 89, color 4 on my hook, and the right side, the wrong side. I have the wrong side facing. I'm going to start, and the stitch. We're going to work this round in the stitches from round 87. So the pink stitches here, and all the time the white stitches we're just going to roll them back. So we're working behind the stitches, but because we have the wrong side facing, it'll be in front. So you can kind of follow what I mean. We're going to start in the corner stitch, and I'm just going to fold the white stitches to the back. I'm going to work in the corner stitch from round 87, and we're going to start with a standing half treble. Standing half treble in that corner space. So one, and so then also a second half treble, chain 2, and 2 more half trebles. So 1 and 2. And all the time you can see you're really keeping these white chain spaces. Keep them all really to the front, that you can work behind them. Now for the straight edge, I'm going to skip the first stitch, and that first stitch is actually, it's underneath there. There's your first stitch, so don't worry, you're skipping that, but that technically is the first stitch. This stitch you can see here, that's your second stitch, but that's the first one you're going to work into. And we're going to work 12 half trebles. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then stitch number 5 here contains in the back loop a double crochet. Now you're basically going to ignore that, because you just move the double crochet to the side and then work through the entire stitch just as though it's not there, and then come to the next stitch. So that way you see how this double crochet is kind of really being pushed to the back. So from the front you can't even see it anymore. So that was, I believe I've now worked 6 half trebles. Just check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, 6. I'm going to work 12. This is 7, 8, 9. In number 10 there's again this double crochet, so I'm just going to ignore it. So this is 10, then come to the next stitch, that's 11 and 12. 12 half trebles. We're now going to work a repeat that we'll do 8 times. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to skip the next stitch here. If you just pull this to the back, you see there's still 1 stitch left. Going to skip that stitch. Then we're going to skip the 3 trebles here, that's in the white, and then also the first stitch on the other side. I'm just going to go like that and see if I can find it here. There it is. There's the first stitch. You can also skip that stitch. So you're skipping the last stitch before, then the 3 trebles, and then the first stitch after the treble, and then come to the second stitch and work a half treble. You see, that's a stitch you're skipping, and if you look at it from here, it might be easier to see. So you see you're skipping that stitch and this stitch, and of course the chain and the trebles. But you're working them from making sure these loops are to the front. Okay, so that's the first half treble, and this is the first of 23. So that's 1, 2, and now 3, 4, and here this one again has a half treble or a double crochet in this stitch. So just ignore it, continue until you've worked 23 double crochets. Oh, sorry, half trebles. Half trebles. We're working half trebles. 23 and 23. So it's 23 half trebles from that first one there. 23. And this is the end of the first mini repeat. So I'm going to do this 7 more times. So again, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and skipping the trebles and the stitches either side. Come to the second stitch, and again, if your first one here of these 23 is correct, the position, the rest will also be fine. You can see there. It's easy to, if you didn't check it this way. You see, that's the second stitch, that's the first one, so that's one you've skipped. Here's the last one you've also skipped. So this is the start of the second little repeat. So do this until the end. You're going to work 23 half trebles every time, but on the last one you're not going to have 23 but only 13, and then you're at the corner. I'll see you just at the next corner. I'm just almost to the corner. I want to show you the last few stitches. So here I've skipped the last 3 trebles. See that first stitch there? And now I've worked 10 half trebles. So I need to work 3 more, and then we're at the corner. That's 1, that's 11 of course, and this is 12. And especially where number 13 goes, is this stitch, this here, that's number 13. Because you also, that's a stitch that you also have a back post stitch around. And that is 13. That's 13 half trebles since the chain 4 space here. Now you're at the corner. That's 2 half trebles. It's the same corner as you just did. 2 half trebles, chain 2, and 2 half trebles. 1 and 2. And now you can repeat everything on your next edge, your next 3 edges actually. When you get to your first standing stitch, close on that stitch and again secure the loop. I'll show you again what I mean by securing the loop, but go all the way around, repeat this 3 more times. At the end of round 89, slip stitch in the next, so if you're close to the first stitch with a slip stitch, then slip stitch in the next stitch and to the chain corner space. Insert a stitch marker in there and keep that loop for 2 rounds from now. Round 90, the blanket is really getting nice and large. At this point you have the right side facing, and here at the back I'm just going to pick up the loop from 2 rows down in color 1, so that the loop we secured. Just going to pick up that loop, and the other color 4, you can just leave it, just leave it here, don't worry about that. We're now going to come up and work a back post double crochet around that very first stitch. And so these are the stitches that are here in the corner, that very first one. And around the post of the stitch from the back. Oh, I've just worked the back post slip stitch. There you go. And then yarn over, pull through the 2 loops. And then there, that's the stitch, so around the first stitch. Now for the straight edge, chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to skip 4 stitches. Now the first stitch is here before the slip stitch join, and then the second stitch here is the slip stitch join, so this is stitch number 2. See, that's all the same stitch. It's 2, 3, and 4. So here in stitch number 5 where I'm at right now. Insert your hook in the back loop and work a double crochet. And this is all a bit full here, but you see you've skipped the first stitch, or actually the very first stitch you worked in, so technically this is the second stitch, but it's the first one we're skipping, so that's 1, then 2, because that's this entire thing here with the join, 3 and 4, and then in stitch number 5 work a back loop, double crochet. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then work a back loop in the next, on the skipping 4 stitches, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 skip, and then in the next stitch, in stitch number 5, again double crochet in the back loop. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and at this point you should have 4 stitches left before you get here to these white, these trebles in color 1. And you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Number 4 kind of falls into the chain space. That's stitch number 4 there. Now we're going to skip all of that and work on the 3 trebles. On the first treble, work 3 front post trebles. You're just going to stack them on top of one another. So that's 1. This is 2. And this is 3. So you just stack the one next to the other. Then in the center one, work 1 front post treble around the center stitch. And then come to the third one and work 3 front post trebles around that one again. So 1, 2, and 3. There you go. And now we have a nice set of stitches there. And this is the start of the small repeat unit. Now chain 5, because now we're again going to chain 5 and then skip stitches and work a back loop double crochet. So it's chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip 4 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and in stitch number 5 grab the back loop and work a double crochet. Now again we need to do this 4 times, so that was 1, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches skip, and stitch number 5 double crochet in the back loop. And again chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches skip, and stitch number 5 back loop double crochet. And again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches, 5 chains, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches skip, and stitch number 5 in the back loop, a double crochet. And at this point there should be 3 stitches left. I'm going to do a chain 3, 1, but as you see now I've got my hook here snagged into the chain, so that's 1, 2, 3, and then skip those last 3 stitches, and now we're again at the next group of 3 trebles here where we're going to work the same. So that'll be 3 front post trebles on the first one, so that's 1. I'll just work this bit with you, and then you're going to repeat again what we just did. 1, 2, and this is 3, and 1 here, and 1 on the last one you work 3, 1, 2, there we go, 3, and then this here is the start of your next repeat unit, because you can see these series of stitches is of course the same as that series of stitches. So repeat this I believe 6 more times or so, and I'll see you when you've worked these last series of stitches on the last over the last 3 trebles on the other side before the corner. Then I'll see you at that point, and then I'll work the last few stitches with you and the corner. So I'm almost to the corner. I've just worked these last this last shell, this last petal. I've worked 3 trebles, front post trebles on the first, 1 in the center, and 3 on the last one. This is the point where I'm at right now. So for the last few stitches, start with the chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to skip 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. In the 4th stitch, a back loop, double crochet. So skipping 3 stitches. Then chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, now we skip 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and work a back loop, double crochet. Then again, chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and skip 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there should be 1 stitch left here before the corner. And around that last stitch, I'm going to work a back post double crochet, and this is exactly the same as 2 rows down. So a back post double crochet there around the very last stitch. There you can see. Chain 2. 1, 2, and then come to the first stitch on the other side of the corner, and again work a back post double crochet. Now you can see them on either side of the corner. You can see them sitting there. And now you're at this is also the same stitch as the stitch we started in. So go all the way around, close to your first stitch, and when you're at the first stitch, secure the loop again with a stitch marker, and so don't fasten off. So close to the first standing back post double crochet, and then just insert a stitch marker or something to secure that loop. Around 91, you have the wrong side facing, and going to pick up the loop from 2 rows down. So that's here in color 4. Just going to pick up that loop. So it's in the. So you're currently in the chain 2 corner space here. I'm going to start with the. I just have color 1 still here. I'm just going to start with the chain 2. 1, 2, which counts as a first half treble. Then in the same corner space, another half treble, chain 2, and 2 more half trebles. That's 1 and 2. So that's your new corner made. We're going to do the same idea as 2 rows down. So we're going to keep on working in behind the loops here. These chain loops. Going to skip the very first stitch. Now that's underneath there. Then come to the second, and that's going to be the first of 11 half trebles. And every time you come to a stitch that contains a double crochet in the back loop, you just completely ignore that stitch, that double crochet. You see, here's a double crochet, so I'm just going to insert next to it. So this is the same as 2 rows down. I'm going to work 11 half trebles, and 11 is this one here. So that's 11 half trebles. And at this point you should have 2 stitches left. If I just pull this forward, then you should have 2 stitches left. Now we're going to start a repeat unit, and that's going to be chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then these 2 stitches that you still have here, going to skip those and come to the shell, and you've got 3 front post stitches, 1 and then 3, and that center one, if you pull it apart you can actually see it very easily. It's that stitch right in the middle. In the front loop, work double crochet. And of course this means it's in the back loop if you have your work from the front, but right now because we're backside facing, it's the front loop. Work a double crochet, then chain 4, and we're going to come to the other side here and skipping 2 stitches, and then in the 3rd stitch you're going to work the first of 19 half trebles. And this first stitch looks very much hidden because it kind of falls into the chain space. But this stitch here, that's just before there, that's the first stitch. So in that stitch, work a half treble. So you've skipped 2 stitches and then worked 1. And then that's 1 half treble. Then in the next stitch, this is number 2. And continue until you have 19. And then you'll be, well, basically at the next repeat. Then you'll be at the end of the next repeat. So work 19 half trebles. And this is 19. You got 19 half trebles. And now you should have, if I just look at this way, 2 stitches left. And this is the start of the next repeat unit. So you see here, you're going to skip those 2, the chain 4, and then the front loop double crochet. So this is the same as this part here, starting at the chain 4. So you're going to work this 8 times in total, and on your last repeat you'll have less, you won't have 19 double crochets of half trebles, I should say. You'd only have 13. So on your last repeat, only 13 half trebles. So continue like this, work it 7 more times, and I'll just see you for the last stitches and the corner. I'm almost to the final few stitches. Work the chain 4, front loop, double crochet, chain 4, and now again skipping 2 stitches here. So you're going to skip, you really need to look, 1, 2 stitches. This is the stitch we're going for, but of course from the other side. So that is 1, 2, this here is 3. If you look at it like this, you can more easily see this 1, 2 stitches skip, and then the stretch. So that's 3, and we will work 13, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you'll be at the corner, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and I especially want to show you number 13. That's number 13. The stitch already contains the back post. There, that's 13. And then a new corner in the chain space. So it's 2 half trebles, chain 2, and 2 half trebles. There you go. And this is the same as the corner we started with. So go all the way around on your next 3 edges also. Close on your first stitch, that's going to be the chain 2 at the beginning, and then you can also fasten off. Around 92, we're going to pick up color 1 at the back. I'm just going to pick that up from the loop. There you go. Yes, this is the working yarn. Now we're starting in exactly the same way as we've done before. So in the first stitch, there after the corner, back, post, double crochet in that first half treble. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we skip 4 stitches. So this is the first stitch worked. So that's 1. So this is the first stitch. We're going to skip that, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. Skip stitch number 5 in the back loop. Work a double crochet. Just going to pop that chain to the back. This we do again. So again, chain 5. This is the same as actually as we've done before. And again skipping 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, then stitch number 5 in the back loop, double crochet. So this is exactly the same as we've done before. Let's skip chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we skip the last 4 stitches you have here. Just going to move my blanket a bit. We're going to work on the shell, and that's also going to start our repeat. On the first stitch, work 2 front post trebles. So here around the first stitch, there we go. So around the first stitch, work 2 front post trebles. So that's 1 and 2. Again, just stack them on top of each other. In the next 2 stitches, work 1 front post treble on each. It's 1 and 1. In the center stitch, the next up will be the center one. This one here. This one gets 3 front post trebles, and those you can just stack in front of each other. So it's 1. This is 2. And this and 3. So just stack those in front of each other. The next 2 get 1 front post treble. So it's 1, and the next stitch is 1. And here the last treble gets 2 front post trebles. So that's 1 and 2. This way you've extended that shell again. Now along the next number of stitches, we're again going to be working the chain spaces and skipping stitches to the back. So we start with a chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, we do a chain 5, and then skip 4 stitches. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then double crochet in the back loop. Again, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just chain 5 and skip 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then a double crochet in the back loop. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And skip 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. And in the back loop of stitch number 5, work a double crochet. And this is of course very similar to what we've done, so I'm going to perhaps go slightly faster, and then chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then there are 4 stitches left here. You see 1, 2, 3, 4. That last one kind of falls into the chain space. And then you're at the next shell, and here we repeat the same ideas on the first shell. So the first stitch gets 2 trebles, the second gets 1, 1, the center one gets 3, and then 1, 1, and the last one gets 2 front post trebles again. So this shell here is the same as this shell. So from this shell and all these chain loops, repeat this almost to the end. And then I'll see you at the last shell just before the corner. I'll see you back when you've completed that last shell for the last few chain spaces and the corner. I've just worked the last shell, and I've got these last stitches over until the corner. So after the shell, chain 2, 1, 2, then we skip 2 stitches, so that's 1, 2 skip, and in the third stitch a back loop, double crochet. Then chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip 4 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, 4, double crochet in the back loop, and again chain 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, so of course chain 5 and skip 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then around the last stitch going to work, where is it? There we go, around the last stitch, work a back post double crochet, then chain 2 and a back post double crochet around the first stitch on the next edge, and you can again, if you look closely, see those 2 stitches either side of the corner. And then this is the start of the next edge, so repeat everything we've just done, repeat that all the way around, and after the chain 2, close to the first stitch, and again secure this loop with a stitch marker until we need it again. Round 93, wrong side facing, so the back of your work, color 2 on my hook. I'm going to start in any corner space from 2 rows down with a standing half treble. And this round is very similar to what we've done 2 rows down. So it's 2 half trebles, chain 2 and 2 half trebles. 1, 2. So that's the corner made, the same corner as we've done 2 rows down. Going to the straight edge, going to skip the first stitch, and that stitch is really underneath your, it's in there. It's going to skip that stitch, and then the next stitch that you can really see is that one. I'm going to work 2 half trebles in there. So 1, 2. So 2 half trebles in that second stitch. Then on the next 9 stitches, work a half treble. So 1, 2, 3, and here this stitch number 4 has again that back loop stitch in it, back loop double crochet. Just ignore it completely like it's not there. I've just lost count, I'll just count them in a moment. Need to work 9 half trebles, and I think how many I've got now? That was the first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 2 more. 7, 8, and 9. 9 half trebles. Look, you see you have 2 stitches left here. We're going to skip those 2 in a moment. First chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chain stitches. We now come to the shell. You're at the back of the shell here, and if you open this up, you have the center 3 stitches from the previous round. Again, the center stitch from that one. So you see here the 3 center stitches. Grab the middle one, so the most center stitch, and work a front loop double crochet. So see if I only got it in the front loop there. And again, chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to skip the rest of the shell and then come to the stitches here of row 91, and again going to work half trebles. Going to work 15. First we skip the first 2. So you see here this one you're going to skip and that stitch, and then come to the 3rd stitch here. So the first one again kind of rolls over into the chain space, and be sure again to stay in front of all the loops, all those chain loops, chain 5 loops from the previous row. And I'm just going to work that again. I think it's this one, but I always just check, then I skip. Now you see, now I skip 3 stitches. You see, 1, 2, 3. So that's 1 too far. I need to come one back. So always just when you've worked the first stitch, just double check that you've got the right one. So it's this one here. Okay. See, so now I've skipped 1, 2 stitches and worked here in the 3rd. That stitch there. So this is 1, and now I need a few more because we need 15 half trebles. 3, 4, continue until you have 15. 5, and this is 15. So it's 15 half trebles, And now there should again be 2 stitches left before you get to the next chain space here. And this point is the same as the point here, just so that last stitch before the chain 6 space. So from the chain 6 up to this 15 half trebles, repeat this to the end, and on your final repeat you won't have 15 half trebles but only 13. But I'll see you back at that point. And just on the last repeat here, I've worked the last chain 6 space and I've worked 10 half trebles, and I said on that last repeat you would have only 13. This last one is, so that's, I still need to do 3 more, 2, and this is the last one here, the last stitch. So 13 half trebles. And now we're at the corner space, and that's the same corner as before. So it's 2 half trebles, chain 2, and 2 half trebles. 1 and 2. And now we start the next edge. Well, repeat this 3 more times. Close on your first stitch. That's going to be the standing half treble. Then again move with the slip stitch to this stitch and to the chain 2 corner space on the other side. So move with a slip stitch to the chain 2 space, and then secure your loop with a stitch marker or by drawing up a large loop. So at the end, move to the chain 2 space with slip stitches and secure your loop. Round 94, we have the right side facing. I'm going to pick up the loop here at the back from that's color 1. I'm going to pick up that loop, and it's very much the same idea as we've done up till now. Now around the first stitch, the very first stitch, work a back loop, or back post, double crochet. Yes, a back post, double crochet around that very first stitch. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skipping 4 stitches. Now that's the first stitch, that one there. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, skip. This is stitch number 5. Work a back loop, double crochet in that stitch. Then again chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip 4 stitches. This is where we're in right now. So then 1, 2, 3, 4, skip, and stitch number 5 gets a back loop, double crochet again. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going to skip the last stitches. You see here you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. Going to skip those because the 4th one really falls also into the chain 6 space there. So now we're on the shell, and that's again the start of the repeat. Around the first stitch, and you might have to turn the work because here's your first stitch. Around that first one, work 3 front post trebles. So around the first one, 3 front post trebles. So that's 1. Just stack them in front of each other, 2 and 3. So 3 front post trebles. Then on the next 3, and I'm just going to, so those 3, work 1 front post treble around each. This is 1, 2, and 3. The next 3 stitches, and these are the 3 that you've worked around the center stitch. Those center 3 get a front post double treble. So twice over, and then it's 1, 2, and this is 3. So those are 3 longer stitches. Then the next 3 stitches, you have 4 left, so the next 3 get 1 front post treble around each. That's 1, 2, and 3, and the very last stitch gets 3 front post trebles, and this is symmetric to the first part of the shell. 2 and 3. So we've got 3 in the outer stitches, and then 3 times 1 treble, and in the center you've got 3 times 1 double treble. The shell is really starting to take shape. Now, here on these next stitches we can go to work chain 5 spaces and then skipping 4 stitches. Well, the same idea. So chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so now it's the pink stitches here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 skip, and then stitch number 5 in the back loop. There we go. Work it. Double crochet. So that's the first one, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and skip again 4 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 skip, and then stitch number 5, back loop double crochet. Then chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we skip the last 5 stitches. You see, we've got exactly 5 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we start on the next shell. So then the next stitch would be here around the very first one. That's the first of 3 front post trebles. And now again work this shell the same way you did here, the first one. Now these shells and these chain loops repeat to the end, and I'll see you at the end of the last shell. I'll see you there to work the last few stitches in the corner. I've just worked the last shell, and we have a few more stitches left to the corner. After the last shell, chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we skip 2 stitches, so that's 1, 2, skip, and here in the third stitch, back loop, double crochet. Then chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, and in the fifth work a back loop double crochet again. Then again chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When we skip 4 stitches, going to end up on the last stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 skip. Then here on the last stitch, work a back post double crochet around the last stitch. Chain 2, 1, 2, and then come to the other side of the chain space and work back post double crochet around the first stitch. And you see closely, there is the little stripe from the stitch. And now you're at the next edge. So go all the way around, repeat 3 more times, and after your last chain 2, you'll close on your first double crochet, and then again secure your working loop with a stitch marker or by drawing up a loop. Round 95, I have the wrong side facing. I'm just going to pick up a working loop. This is from color 2. This one I've got on my loop, on my hook here. I'm going to start in the corner. Chain 2, that's a half treble, then another half treble, chain 2, and 2 more half trebles, all in the same corner space. So your corner is 2 half trebles, chain 2, and 2 half trebles. Now, this straight edge, this edge is different to the ones we've done before, because we're going to be securing the shell that's here to the back. We're going to be securing that to our work. Skipping the first stitch, now that's again very much hidden by the corner. Come to the second stitch. It's a half treble. That's the first of 10. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is number 10. 10 half trebles on the edge. We're now going to come to the shell because you've got 2 stitches here left here. We're going to skip those and come to the shell. We're going to work front post stitches around them, and the first stitch, and you're just going to have to dig a little bit for it. There it is. And that first stitch, work a front post treble, and we're going to pull the stitch as tight as we can so that there's not going to keep the gap as small as possible. So I'm going to just pull this stitch rather tight, the front post treble, so keeping that gap there as small as possible. So that's the first one, and the next one you can work normal. Around the second stitch from the shell, another front post treble, and also on the third stitch a front post treble. So the first 3 get a front post treble. Then the next 3 get a front post half treble. 1, 2, and 3. And the next 3, and this should be the center 3. If you look at it from the front, it should be the center 3 stitches there. They get a front post double crochet. So going one shorter with every 3 stitches. So this is a front post double crochet on the center 3. Now we're going back up again, so the next 3 get a front post half treble. 1, 2, 3, and the last 3 stitches get a front post treble. You see there should be 3 left here. They get a front post treble. That's 1, 2, and the last one here, 3. So you've worked on every stitch of the shell. You've now worked, and if you look at it from the front, you'll see this nice edge on your shell. Okay. Now, if I just move my blanket a bit, we're going to work on the straight stitches again, skipping 2 stitches. So you've got 1, 2. I'm going to skip those 2 and come to the third stitch, and again staying behind the loops, work a half treble. Which 1, 2, yes, this stitch here, the third stitch. You skip 1, 2, and then in the third stitch, that's 1, and now it's 11 half trebles. That's 2, 3, 11. 11 half trebles, and now we're at the same point where we are to start the next shell. So here on the next shell, if I just dig out that stitch there, I'm going to work the first front post stitch. So repeat everything from the shell and these 11 half trebles until you're to the end, and at the end you'll just have a few more half trebles. You've got 11 here, you'll be finishing with 13, and then it's a new corner. I'll just see you the last few stitches before the corner. So I'm almost to the end of the edge. I've just worked another repeat. So here are the stitches on the shell, and I've worked 11 half trebles, and then there are 2 stitches left. So on those last 2 stitches, just work another half treble. That's 1 and 2. So then this is a stretch of 13 half trebles, and in the corner, the same corner as we've done before, 2 half trebles, chain 2, and 2 half trebles. Then you can repeat everything we've done on the next edge, and 3 more times as such. When you get all the way around, close on your first stitch. That will be the chain 2. Close on that stitch with a slip stitch, and then you can also fasten off. Round 96, right side facing. Just going to pick up color 1, that's still to the back here. Just going to pick up that loop. And we're going to come to the chain corner space. So this is the corner space from the previous round with a slip stitch. So I'm just going to insert into that space and move up with the slip stitch. Now, to start the first corner, we want to work a treble, chain 2 and a treble. Now the treble is a chain 3, then another chain 2 and then a treble. So we've got chain 5 and a treble in the same corner space. This straight edge, it's going to skip the first stitch, that's this stitch, going to skip that, and in the next stitch work a V. And a V stitch is a treble, chain 1 and a treble in the same stitch. Skip 2 stitches and work a V stitch in the stitch after. So skip 2 stitches and then a V stitch in the stitch after that. Chain 1 and a treble. And this you're going to repeat to the end. So skip 2 stitches and then a V stitch. So that's a treble, chain 1 and a treble in the same stitch. Again, skip 2 stitches, treble, chain 1 and a treble. I've now done 4 V stitches with you. Repeat this to the end. You'll have I believe 74 V stitches. So just continue skipping 2 stitches in between and then work a V stitch. And I'll see you at the end of this edge when you've got 1 more V stitch left to do, and for the corner. I'm almost to the corner. I've worked 73 V stitches. So I'm going to work 1 more, so skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and then work a V stitch. And this is V stitch number 74. And now you're going to skip the last 3 stitches to the corner, because you've got 1, 2, 3 stitches left. Skip all 3 of those. Then in the corner work a treble, chain 2 and a treble. And now you're ready to start the repeats on the next edge. Go all the way around and then close to the chain 3. So you've got chain 5, close on that chain 3 and slip stitch to the corner space. I'll show you when we get there. When you're all the way around, when you've worked the last V stitches, I'm going to close here on the 3rd of the 5 chains, so that's there. So I'm just going to close there with a slip stitch, and then also move to the chain 2 space with a slip stitch. There you go. Now we're ready to start the next round. Round 97. You're currently in the chain 2 space. And with this round we're going to work purl stitches. Start with the chain 2. This is your first half treble, and we're going to work the purl stitch around this. So that's yarn over, then around the post, pick up a loop and bring that up, then yarn over again, come around the post, pick up a loop and bring that up. You've got 5 loops here on your hook, yarn over and take them all off. Chain 2, and now we work a purl stitch in the same corner space. So that's a half treble, then yarn over around the post of the treble, or the half treble I should say. Pick up a loop, yarn over around the same post, pick up a loop and take all of them off in one go. And that's your second purl stitch. So in the corner you've got purl, chain 2, purl. Now on the straight edge, sorry, I'm just almost to the end of a yarn ball, and then that causes a bit of a tangle. Chain 1. We're going to skip the first treble. That's this treble. We're going to skip that, and then make a purl stitch in the V stitch, but in the first treble. So you've got the treble, chain 1, treble. Then in that first treble of the V stitch, we're going to make a purl stitch. So a half treble. We start with a half treble in the first stitch of the V stitch, and then we complete the purl stitch. So it's yarn over, pick up a loop, yarn over, loop, 5 loops on your hook, and take them all off. Chain 1, and then come to the next V-stitch, and again in the first treble of the V-stitch, work a half treble, and then around that post you make the purl, and chain 1, and then we come to the next V-stitch, which is this one here, etc. And this you repeat until you're to the other side. And with these purl stitches, it's really important to just keep your finger on these loops so they don't go anywhere. And chain 1. See here, the purl stitches that we've already made, they're all in the first treble of the V-stitch. So repeat this to the other side. I'll see you on your second last V-stitch when you just need to make the last purl stitch in the last V-stitch. I'll see you at that point, and also for the corner. Almost to the corner. I have 1 V-stitch left. I'm just going to work a purl stitch in that last V-stitch. That's the half treble. Just going to rotate my work a little bit, then that's easy with the purls. And take them off. Chain 1. Now I've got a purl stitch in every V-stitch. There's 1 treble left before the chain 2 corner space, and in that last treble also work a purl stitch. In that treble, that's 1 and 2. There you go. We're now going to come to the corner space here and work a new corner. Let's chain 1, and then in the corner space work a purl stitch, chain 2 and a purl. So that's a half treble, and then around that half treble purl, chain 2, and then another purl in the same space. And 1, 2, and all off. And then those are the 2 purls in the corner space. Well, now you're at the start of the next edge. So repeat everything from this edge. Just you're going to work a lot of purl stitches along this edge. All your chain 1s in between. Go all the way around, and then we close on the first purl with the slip stitch. I'll just show you how to do that, because that might be just a little tricky with the starting purl. So go all the way around, and then I'll see you at just before the join. All the way around, just work the last purl stitch. Just chain 1, and now close on the first purl stitch with a slip stitch. And there's this chain 2 in the middle here. That's what you want to join on, and that can be a bit hard to get in. Now there's a chain 2 here that I've just pulled up. I'm just going to go underneath it and just close on that chain 2, and then move to the chain space with the slip stitch. There we go. And then we're ready for the next round. Round 98. This is relatively easy round, nice and just work stitches, no purls or anything weird. Now chain 2. This is your first half treble, and then another half treble in the chain space. Chain 2 and 2 half trebles. That's 1 and 2. So your corner space is 2 half trebles, chain 2, 2 half trebles. On the straight edge in every chain space, so between all the purl stitches, going to work half trebles, and we're going to work 3 half trebles between every between the purls, so 3 half trebles in every chain space, and you repeat this to the other side. So that's what I mean with it. It's a nice relaxed round. Just work half trebles, 3 half trebles in every chain space. And this is also a good round that if your stitch count isn't quite correct, to just adjust for that. So work an extra stitch or remove a stitch if you have too many or too few. So this is also a good round to adjust your stitch count if it isn't correct. Work a half treble in every stitch, or every chain space, I should say. That's a better word. And then when you get to the other side, you're going to work your new corner. So after your last, so here after the last chain space, work a corner. That's 2 half treble, chain 2, 2 half treble. Repeat that all the way around, and when you get to your first stitch, close with an invisible join. So again, use your needle and close on that first stitch, because that's going to be more pretty for the next round. For now, 3 half trebles in every chain space, 2 half treble, chain 2, 2 half trebles in the corner. Round 99, color 6 on my hook, and this round I'm going to work back post stitches. In any corner space, start with a double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet. That's your corner made. So double, chain 2, and a double. And now we're going to work a back post double crochet on every stitch. Just again, that first one is often just a little bit more tricky than the rest, and then the rest just follows. So work a back post double crochet on every stitch, and when you get to the corner, you work the same corner. That's a double, chain 2, and a double, and then you go all the way around. And when you get to your first stitch, join on that stitch and fasten off. So for this round, back post on every stitch. Round 100, we're really coming towards the end. I have color 5 on my hook, and at this point also hook B. So this is the smaller of the 2 hook sizes. That's important, hook B. Going to start in any chain 2 corner space with a standing double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet in the same space. There you go. So your corner is a double, chain 2, and a double. We're now going to be working double crochets and skipping stitches. You start with chain 2, 1, 2 chain, and now we're going to skip 2 stitches. Now here's the first stitch that you're skipping, and then the second stitch, and then in the third stitch work a double crochet. So you see you're skipping 2 stitches, and then the third work a double. Then chain 2, skip 1 stitch, and in the next work a double. And this chain 2, skip 1 stitch, work a double. You're going to repeat until you're to the corner. So chain 2, skip a stitch, and work a double crochet. Chain 2, skip 1 stitch, and work a double crochet. And repeat this until you're to the corner. I'll see you at the other side when you're just at the last double crochet. I'm almost to the next corner. I have a few more stitches to work. Another chain 2, skip 1 stitch, work a double crochet. If everything were right, you have 1 stitch left. That's chain 2, then you skip that last stitch and come to the corner to work a new corner. That's a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. And now you're ready to start the next edge. Go all the way around and close on your first stitch, that first double crochet with a slip stitch, and leave your yarn attached. Round 101, in the first stitch where you closed from on the previous round, then a chain one, that does not count as a stitch. And then we come to the chain 2 corner space here to work a new corner. It's going to be a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. So it's the same corner as the previous round. This round is also very similar to the previous round. I'll repeat this chain 2. Then we skip this next stitch and come to the chain space and work a double crochet in the chain space. And you repeat that until you're to the other side when we make the next corner. So chain 2, and in the chain space work a double crochet. Go all the way to the next corner. So I'll just see you on the other side. Chain 2, double crochet in the chain space. I'm almost to the other side. I've worked a double crochet here in the chain space. I have one more chain space left. So chain 2. Then in this last chain space here work a double, chain 2, skipping the last double, actually the last double crochet, but then we go to the corner space. So I'm going to skip that and come to the corner. We work a double, chain 2, and a double in the same corner space. And that's then the new corner made. And now you start on the next edge and work everything we've just done. Go all the way around, and when you come to the first stitch, that first double crochet, so not the chain one but the double, close on that with a slip stitch, and then also just secure the loop with the stitch marker, or draw up a loop so that we can pick this loop up at a later stage again. Round 102, I have color 1 on my hook, and we're going to start in any corner space with a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet in the same corner space. Then for the straight edge, we're going to skip the first stitch. Now that stitch here, we're going to skip that one and come to the chain space. And there we work the first of 5 doubles. So this is 1. Then come to the next stitch. So this is a double crochet itself. That's 2. Then come to the chain space again. That's 3. And then the double is 4. And then the chain space again is 5. That's 5 double crochets. We're going to work a triple treble, and we're going to come down to round 99. Now that's the round that I have here in the light green. Now there we skipped stitches, and we're going to be working in some of them. Now we're going to grab the second double crochet there, that one. See, that was the first one, that second one. I'm going to work a triple treble in there. So that's 1, let me just think, this is a treble, double treble, triple treble, yes, 3 times yarn over. Then fold your work, and it's easiest if you insert your stitch from the back through that second stitch. And pick up your loop and complete the triple treble. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4 times yarn over. So in that second stitch there. Skipping 1 stitch to the back, and that's going to be the double crochet here. You're going to skip that stitch and then come to the chain space where we work a double, and then that's the first of 5, and that starts again the next little repeat. So that's 1, and then this is in a double crochet is 2, and the chain space is 3, in the double is 4, and the chain space is 5. And now we again work a triple treble here a few rows down, and we're going to skip two of the stitches, so that's that one and this one, and then come to this third empty stitch, and there we work a triple treble again. So that's 1, 2, 3 times yarn over, and then again like from the back, let me just show you again, so it's 3 times yarn over from the back through that stitch, pick up your loop. You're really going to have to fold your work to make this stitch. It's 2, 3, and 4. So you see these stitches are long stitches, and they're really leaning sidewards, going back a few stitches. And then skip a stitch to the back, that'll be the next double, and then work a double crochet in the next chain space. And this is the start of the next repeat. I'll work one repeat more with you. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doubles. Then we're going to skip 1, 2 empty stitches, and then the third stitch again work a triple treble. That's going to be 1, 2, 3 times yarn over, then again fold your work to come into that stitch from the back to the front, because that's just easier to work it that way. It's not so much that it's wrong to do it any other way, but this is just easiest. And then complete the triple treble. And again skipping the next stitch, come to the chain space, and that's again the first of 5 doubles. So this is your repeat, these 5 doubles, and then this triple treble stitch. Continue with this until you're almost to the corner. I'll see you when you've worked this last triple treble stitch. I'll see you at that point. Almost to the end of the row, I've just made the last long stitch, the last triple treble. We're going to skip this double crochet, then come to the chain space, work a double in there, and in the last stitch before the corner also work a double crochet. So you work 2 more doubles, and then the corner, that's again a double, chain 2, and a double crochet. Now, and then you're on your next edge, so repeat everything all the way around. Close on your first stitch with a slip stitch, and then slip stitch to the corner space. So when you're on the other side, so slip stitch to the chain 2 corner space, and then secure your loop to pick up later. Round 103 is going to pick up color 5 that I have to the back here, if you've secured that loop. And now we're going to move to the corner space with a slip stitch. Then chain 1, which is of course not a stitch, and then work your first corner, which is a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. The straight edge, chain 2, you're skipping 2 stitches, so the first stitch, so that's that stitch and this stitch, so these first 2 stitches, going to skip those. Then in the third stitch work a double crochet, chain 2, skip a stitch, and a double crochet. And this you're going to repeat till you're to the other side. So chain 2, skip a stitch, and work a double crochet. And when you're almost to the other side, I'll see you back just for the last few stitches in the corner, but this round is very similar to what we've done before. Almost to the corner, we have just a few stitches left. So chain 2, skip 1 stitch, work a double, chain 2, skip the last stitch before the corner, and then work a new corner, which is going to be a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. And now you're at the same point where we started, so you can start the next edge. Go all the way around, close to your first stitch. That's going to be that first double crochet on the other side, and then slip stitch to the corner space. Round 104, this is a repetition of round 101. So we're going to work double crochets in the chain space again, exactly the same as round 101. I'll just get you started, but if you want to see more details, just go to round 101 in the video. That's chain 1, which is not a stitch because you're currently in the chain space, then a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet for your corner, chain 2, skip the next stitch and come to the chain space for the double crochet. And this you're going to repeat all the way around. So chain 2, and then in every chain space the double crochet. At the end of the row you'll work a new corner after your last chain 2, so which again a double, a chain 2, and a double in the corner space. But this is a repetition of round 101. Go all the way around, and at the end you're going to fasten off after closing on the first stitch. Round 105, final round of the pattern. I have color 1 here to the back. I'm just going to pick up that loop and my yarn. There we go. And now we go to the corner chain space with a slip stitch. Chain 1. This doesn't count as a stitch, and then in the same chain space, double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. For the straight edge, I'm going to start with a double in the first 4 stitches. And this here is the first one, so that's 1, then in a chain space is 2, then 3 on the double, and 4 in the chain space again. I'm going to work a triple treble, and we're going to work it in the triple treble from a few rows down. But this stitch already contains a double crochet, so we're just going to push that to the side. So 1, 2, 3 times yarn over, and then come forward, and next to the stitch you can see it already contains that doubles, but just next to it work the triple treble, so don't worry about that double crochet being there already. Then skipping 1 stitch to the back, that's going to be the double crochet, so you're going to skip that double and then come to the chain space, and this is the first of 5 double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets, and again 3 times yarn over, and then come to the next triple treble here, and in the stitch, and just next to the double work the triple treble. So you're going to work a triple treble in every triple treble stitch, so it's going to give you these long V patterns. Then you come to the chain space again, which is the first of 5 doubles, and this you repeat to the end. 2, 3, this is 4, and double crochet number 5. Now we would need another triple treble, 3 times yarn over. So repeat this till you're to the other side, then I'll see you when you've worked the last triple treble, then I'll just see you for the last few stitches in the corner. I've just worked the last triple treble here on this edge, then a double crochet in the next 5 stitches, of course skipping that stitch to the back. 4, and number 5 here is in a chain space, and then there should be 3 stitches left. So here the double crochet gets one, the chain space gets a double, and the double crochet gets a double. And then you're at the corner again, which is a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. And now you're at the beginning of the next edge. So repeat this, complete these V stitches all the way around, and when you're right back at the beginning, you can join to your first stitch and fasten off your last thread. And when you're all the way around, work away your last yarn tails, and then you're all finished with this beautiful blanket. I want to thank you for joining me on this journey, and I hope to see you again soon for a new project.